Welcome back, everybody, to our daily body tuning live session. Okay, we're going to start in the standing position and just get a nice, easy bounce going. Okay. Feeling the organs shaking. We're just waking up the body. I'm going to do some mindful exercises in a little bit, and then we're going to get a little bit more athletic towards the end, okay? So for now, we're just loosening the limbs, getting ready for the session ahead. Good. Feel free to do, if you're familiar with my classes, you can do whatever movements you feel help you warm up, okay? You can follow along for the next 5 minutes warm up, or you can do your own too. I'm just going to roll through some of our standard movements to get warmed up. Good. I invite you to spend some of the warm-up time on self-massage techniques, rubbing up and down the arms and legs. I'm getting a good squeeze in here, always hitting under for the lymph. I'm getting the armpit to drain the lymph out. Get the friction on the skin. Try to wake up the body as much as you can. Good, getting the shimmy in the chest. We'll roll down and up a few times. Just careful with the lower back the first few times, just warming up here. Good, we'll take it into our cross march pattern here, hitting the inner thighs as we go. Good, flexing the legs, hitting the butt. Just working on warming up the hamstrings. You really want to try to keep this movement as concise and easy as possible, right? Just lifting the foot straight up underneath the pelvis. All right, starting to take a little bit sidestepping at the same time. Let's open it up into the speed skater movement. Okay, here again, you can hear my feet brushing against the floor, right? You need to feel from the hamstring, this is pulling. Good, we're going to focus shaking the hands now, bringing the vibrations up and out and coming back in. Okay, let's rinse and repeat that a few times, get the shoulders working. Shmuel, you want to do a cameo? Well, Dr. Tance is shy today. Good. Okay, energy is going. Okay, if you have a chair available, we're going to work a little bit in sit position. If not, you can do the same stuff in standing, okay? You won't lose too much. Just a little bit more relaxing to be down. Okay, we're just going to recover our breath. And we're going to work on the upper trapezius and the levator scapula muscles, okay? You don't need to know what the muscles are, where they are. You just need to do these movements. We're going to ride up very slowly. And lowering very slowly. Okay, we're going to start to combine that easy pattern with the released breathing. If you've been with me for a few sessions, or were part of the mind-body sessions we had earlier in the months, what I like to talk about is this released breath, where you're releasing not only the air from the body, but also the mind and the body at the same time. So it's easy. You just breathe in, going, and you just try to let go of as much as you can with each exhale. And with each exhale, you get a little bit deeper inside of the body. Okay, bring the awareness inside the chest, inside the abdomen. Try to feel the mind emptying, feel the body relaxing with each exhale. Okay, here we go again. Good. Let's take the elevator up in the shoulders again, very carefully. Feel the muscles contracting to the base of the skull. And slowly, slowly, slowly going down. Reaching towards the floor, away from the neck, and relaxing. Again, let's rinse and repeat our released breathing. I encourage you to make these noises as any stimulation of the vocal apparatus also helps stimulate the vagus nerve. So you can supercharge any of your breathing techniques by adding some level of vocalization. We don't have to be good singers for this. We only need to feel the vibration in the throat a little bit. Good, let's take the elevator up again, raising slowly towards the ears. You can see now when I lower, I'm going to be really careful and try to go evenly. And here you can see, one shoulder went before the other. I need to be more careful next time. Let's try that again and see if we can move more symmetrically on each side. Raising up and back, feeling a symmetrical contraction in the same locations on both sides. And then lowering slowly, really trying to focus on the symmetry of the movement. Of course, it helps if you have a camera in front of you or a mirror, but what's more important is to try to sense this from the inside. So let's ride all the way up again, trying to feel symmetry in the contraction, getting a good squeeze and slowly releasing with what we perceive to be our best symmetry. Good. Let's take this easy shimmy movement in sit position while we take another 10 of our releasing breaths. And we're going to see after we do 10 of these in a row, we're going to reflect on how the mind feels. You're going to notice after this simple technique, you're going to be much more calm. Okay? So we've got this easy kind of rocking going on, and we're just going to breathe it out, letting go of everything. Good. If you move slowly and really try to release, take a second to reflect on how the inside of your body feels. Great. Ready for some more movement. Okay, let's start to pick up this seating position, okay? Since we're sitting all day, we need lots of variety of exercises we can do in different positions. Okay, I'm technically working at the computer right now, although I don't have to be typing. That's a different story. But if you're not actually typing, then we have room to move. Also, what I really like about learning this movement is you can see clearly how my chest rotates, but my head and focus actually stays very stable. Right now I'm really looking down the barrel of a camera, and my face seems to be floating in space, even though there's a tremendous amount of movement underneath it. This means when I'm sitting, I can make this movement and still read across the screen because my sensory experience of my focus is undisturbed. If you feel your head being pulled from side to side, this is indicative of tension in the neck, and we need to work on that by practicing either rotations in the neck or rotations in the shoulder, letting the head float. Okay? So if you can see yourself and get the face to freeze while you move underneath the body, this is a really valuable skill. Let's stand up and see how that simple concept applies to walking as well. With my face facing forward and staying in place, I can develop that same rotation we had sitting, and I can use it in a walking pattern. Notice how my head stays relatively stable, and it seems like my body just swivels underneath the head. This means when I start to travel forwards, walking forwards or backwards, the head feels very, very stable. It feels as though I'm floating forwards and backwards. This is achieved by separating the rotation in the cervical spine and the mid-thoracic area. We have two areas of rotation, the neck and the junction between the thoracic and lumbar spine. All right, here's the rotation. Let's get in touch with both of those rotations. Placing the hand on the chest, allow the head to turn with you and see how far you can turn your rib cage from side to side without swiveling through the hips. It should be about 45 degrees, not much more. Okay, now let's investigate the head, turning only the head from side to side. No problem. If you practice, you can separate and combine these rotations so that the head is really keeping its stable point by turning the chest underneath the head. Okay, let's pick up our fitness level now using these concepts. So remember, the head's going to try to float, and we're going to try to move in this rotation pattern underneath the head. Okay, and we're going to really try to get the body to spin faster in place. And we're going to just keep it easy for now, and in a minute we're going to start to accelerate. Okay, so just get a feeling for feeling the chest rotating under the head and how the knees move forward in a reciprocal motion to the arms. Okay, we're going to go ahead and try to speed up now. Up, 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 up. Okay, getting faster, getting a little bit airborne now. The arms loose, but look at the head. A little bit up and down, but still I'm trying to keep it as floaty as possible. And bringing it back down nice and easy. Easy shimmy rotations. Okay, if you were able to keep up with the speed of that movement, congratulations, that's really not easy. And it took me a long time to be able to move that way. But I learned it all from these simple shimmy movements. Okay, as you learn to separate the head from the rest of the body becomes free. Okay, let's just develop some bigger patterns for the body now, sweeping from side to side. Here we really want to focus now on the opposite concept. Before we were talking about spinning in different locations. Now we want to cultivate stability in the spine for moments that we need for opening doors or pushing doors, picking things up, places we don't actually want the body to bend a lot, right? In this case, we need to move from the hips, which is mostly what literature online talks about, moving from the hips, the big engine. But in order to do this, we need a stable spine. So now when I turn from side to side, you'll see that my head, chest, and abdomen all turn the same direction. This is achieved by actually relaxing the spine and doing an enormous amount of work with the hips. If you don't feel like the legs are working very hard to hold you up and to cause the rotation, you're likely using the spine to turn rather than keeping the spine straight and turning the hips. Okay, so focus on where the hips point, and you'll see that the rest of the body can easily stay on top of the hips. Okay, here we go. Let's make a nice reciprocal patterns here, focusing on the movement of the pelvis. As I turn this way, the pelvis faces here, and I travel. And we go back and travel, okay? Let's build this up and spend a little bit of time swinging through the legs here, okay? Try to use as little effort as possible when doing these movements, and you'll feel that the movement can become quite juicy in the hips. As you start to get into different corners, try to put the mind's awareness inside of the hips. Remember, we're in a stable spine moment right now. So if you want to use a little bit of pressure in the abdomen to help the stability, that would be okay, but I would rather encourage longer breathing. When we suspend the exhale, making long exhales, this causes a slight activation in the core that's a little bit more healthy. Let's try that now, breathing in and out. Try to really push the duration of the exhale. Good. Let's take an easy shimmy in the shoulders, and we'll relax the spine again down and up a few times here. Good. Remember that we can integrate some of our vagus nerve stimulation at any time just by adding longer exhales and some vocalization. Great, let's develop a light bounce here and try to re-coordinate the body against gravity. Right? This type of bouncing movement is another moment of spinal stability. Notice how when you bounce up and down, the abdomen naturally becomes slightly more firm than usual without you having to or do anything specific to it. Nice, nice. Good, we're going to return to some of our easy breathing as we now focus on the face, neck, and shoulders. Okay, so I encourage you to keep that same release breathing going on throughout these movements. Okay, it's hard for me because I'm speaking, but ideally you're at home going, we're going to roll the circles up around the eyes. Okay, we're going to cover the whole orbit around the eyes. Down the nose. Even making claw fingers, we're just going to surround the ears like earmuffs. Make a good amount of pressure and we'll just create circles here, okay? Good, let's revisit our elevator approach and see if we can get some more looseness out of the upper trap muscles. Notice how now as we squeeze up and back, the muscles should feel a little bit looser than before. But as you really drive them up, you'll still find that symmetrical contraction at the very top before you lower slowly down. What you want to look for is this area on the top corners of the shoulder blades, so that as you lift up, they come all the way up to the base of the neck, and you feel here, oh. Also notice the trajectory of the shoulder blade. As it rises, it comes up and in, and as it lowers, it travels down and out slightly. We don't want to force the outward movement of the shoulder blades. That will cause a bit of rounding this way. But we also need to understand that if we don't go up and back, we're forced to go up and forwards. And this pattern breeds a lot of problems for the lower cervical spine. So as we do this, you want to pull the shoulders up and back, right up, feel a good, healthy contraction in the muscles, and then imagine them sliding down and away from each other, as if you were then going to give yourself a hug. In fact, transferring into that movement is a great idea. We can then drop the head and get the full opening of the thoracic spine. Let's ride in and out of that a few times together. Rising up and back, feeling a good contraction, squeezing the fist and face, and slowly releasing down and around into a self-hugging position. Dropping the head slowly and breathing in. Great. Some of the other tricks we're working on the neck are anchoring the arms against the body in an aggressive pulling in movement. This causes the shoulder blades to open the chest up, and also anchor the shoulder blades. So as you tilt the head from side to side, you can get a nice stretch inside of the shoulder. I generally don't like to stretch my neck for too long. I find that that tends to make soreness. Great. Now let's start to cool the breath down. First by cleansing the system, taking these big, deep exhales, okay? You'll hear me say time and time again, you need to strengthen your exhale. The maximum exhale is what reduces the residual volume in your lungs, relaxes the diaphragm, and tones up the lower abdomen. If you don't push all of the air out, you're missing some benefit with these exercises, okay? So we're gonna do a few breath holds here to stimulate our circulation. We're going to push all the air out until you feel the abs really contracted, like you're crushing your ribs and body like a soda can. And at that bottom of the exhale, under a lot of tension, you're going to stop breathing. You're going to hold your breath as long as you can. Okay, let's do this together and see how many seconds we can make. Breathing in easily, pushing all the air out now. Did you notice your vision change towards the end of the exhale? If you did, you did a great job pushing deep into air hunger. If you gave up when you first felt, I'm a little uncomfortable, maybe I should take a breath, you can do better. Let's do another one and really push to the point where your body's screaming at you to take the breath in. You can allow the body to relax after you're at the end of the bottom of the exhale. So you don't need to keep the abs gripped the entire time. You can release while you're in the breath hold. And let's really try to push this to the point of hilarity where we start to wonder, am I going to pass out? No, you won't. You'll be okay. Okay, here we go. Breathing in and out, all the way out. And holding. Good. If you made it that far, you may have found that the bottom, when your body's really struggling for air, you'll start to feel contractions in the pelvic floor. As it tries to relax to maximum efficiency, it will actually attempt to release the bladder because it will think, I need to conserve oxygen, I can release the pelvic floor. You won't actually urinate or anything, but it's a true sign that you've hit the depth of a breath hold and that you've probably gotten the benefit, so it's time to come out. Okay, I'd like to leave you all with one parting word today, this internal mantra I've developed that's hopefully going to help me in the future. And you just repeat it in your mind, and it sounds like this: I will subscribe to this channel. I'm kidding, don't repeat that in your head. But I would like to start being able to stream mobily on YouTube Live, and it turns out you can't do that unless you have 1,000 subscribers. So I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so that if I want to stream from my phone somewhere and be more mobile, that would help a lot for me. So if you subscribe, you'll also get the updates on when things are going on, and I won't have to reach out with emails as much. Okay, and people have been donating for these classes, so thank you so much. I'm not going to stop them, so if you just like to come and enjoy it, great. If you like to donate, it really helps me out a lot and encourages me to keep going. Okay, thanks guys. I'll see you all tomorrow.